Morning. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Hey, all right. Good morning. Wow, what a sight. This is fantastic. Welcome to another great academic year at EKU. I want to start off by thanking Joel Alberts and his staff for hosting us here at what I believe is one of the most beautiful buildings in Kentucky. Let's thank Joel and his entire team this morning. I told Joel before, I imagine this crowd with a few more people in October of next year, if we're fortunate enough to host a presidential debate. We'll find out here in about 6 weeks if that's going to happen. But John Roush, a friend of mine at Center College, told me that event, more than anything else they've done at Center, has helped transform that campus and get its message out and its image out to the world more than anything else. So we're certainly hopeful that we're one of 16, so we like our chances, but we'll find out here in a few weeks. I also want to, before I get started, welcome all of our new faculty and staff. The house lights are up, so I want all of our new faculty and staff to please stand up. Welcome. We are delighted to have you here, and infusion of new blood to an institution, to an organization is so important, and we're delighted to have you as part of the Colonel family. Just to give you an idea of what we'll do today, and I'm the only thing between you and the white tent and lunch, so I'll step lively here. But we're going to have kind of an update on what's going on campus and a little bit about some exciting things for the future. And then Dr. Richard Day of the Faculty Senate tells me that the faculty need to have a meeting. Surprise, surprise, the faculty need to have a meeting, Richard. So we will let the faculty do that. So after my remarks and some Q&A, we'll excuse all the staff. We'll go outside and get started on lunch, and the faculty will have a very brief meeting, and they need to conduct some business. Richard, does that sound agreeable? I want to start also by sharing, and I'm going to put him on the spot for a second, but our new Vice President for Development, Nick Perlick. Stand up here for a second. Nick, get off your phone, Nick. Okay. All right. Of course, he claims he's tweeting. So, Nick, I was working on my presentation late last night, and Nick sent me an email. And if it's okay, I'm going to read just a portion of what he said to me. Good luck tomorrow. It's a great time of year. Good to start anew. How many other industries have such a chance once every year to begin again with complete optimism and hope for the future to change the trajectory of people's lives? I think that's, thank you, Nick. I want you to think about that for a second. You've chosen a profession, we've chosen a profession where every single year we realize that freshmen are getting younger and younger, but that sense of optimism that we are making a difference, that education is that portal to a better life. And our job is to make it as accessible and impactful and profound as possible. And I don't know too many other industries that can claim that. So I hope today, as we discuss the future of EKU, and yes, some of the challenges we're facing, that we always bear in mind that we chose to be here, we voted with our feet, we're part of a big EKU family, and it's great to work in higher education. So Nick, thank you very much for sharing that with me. We've welcomed our new faculty and staff. Again, we're so delighted to have you all here and part of our family. And today is the first time we've ever held this Welcome Back Convocation in the Center for the Arts, and we hope it's the first of many. A couple of campus events, just so you're aware, that will be happening this week. Move-in week the move-in day is on Friday. Deidre had to run to the bookstore today, and so I said, well, Deidre, I'll cover the phones. And if I fielded 2 calls from 2 parents about what time move-in starts on Friday. So it behooves all of us to know when it starts It is this Friday, and we're excited to welcome our on-campus students into the residence halls. Wreck the Ravine is also a great activity put on by our student life, and that's Friday night as well. If you have any questions, your students have any questions as to the first year experiences, please refer them to that website. By the way, we will post this presentation on my website right after today's convocation, so you can have all this information. Our first home football game, which is a Thursday night game. I know that impacts some Thursday night classes, and for that I apologize. But we are in some ways beholden to our conference schedule, and the OVC scheduled this game, our first home game, on Thursday night against Valparaiso. And we're excited to kick off the football season very, very soon. This student is already ready for fall break. And I wanted to make sure you all knew when it was. And that will be October the 12th and 13th. A couple of the dates to bear in mind. We will close campus on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So enjoy a three days off. There we go. I took a little office bet at how long it would take to get the first round of applause. And yes, it was tied to days off. So Wednesday, November 25th, we will shut down campus, and we'll come back on Monday ready to go for that final push. Our Christmas break will be even longer, from December the 18th until Monday, January the 4th. And enjoy some time off. We're off to a great start. Days off. All right. Beautiful. We knew that would elicit that kind of response. Okay. All right. Raises for everybody and days off. Okay. Yeah, Barry just went into apoplectic shock, so we'll get to that in a second, Barry. December graduation. One thing we found this year is that the colleges love doing their own graduation. Yes, it's more work for the administrative team, the deans. I challenge each dean to come up with their new verbiage, with their own verbiage to use in the graduation ceremony. But we are going to have ceremonies for each college. So we'll start for the December graduations on Friday the 11th and finish up on Saturday the 12th. So this is a chance for the colleges to showcase your faculty, your department chairs, your administrative assistants, everybody, the staff, in a way that you can fashion your own ceremony just as you like it. You can have anybody speak that you want to, do the music. I know Arts and Sciences did a steel drum band last year, which was great fun. But it's really a chance for you to put your imprimatur, your imprint on your own ceremony. So those are the dates for December graduation. Spring break. We tried last year to coincide it with Madison County Schools. It was popular with some and more unpopular with others. We decided to go back to our traditional spring break time, which will be the 14th through the 18th. More tepid response there, but still, it's days off. Okay, March 14th to 18th. Okay, we're on track. All right. Spring commencement. It was one of the greatest celebrations I think I've ever been to. We not only does Tina Davis control the registrar's office, she controls double rainbows. So Tina, I tip my cap to Tina. It was a great celebration. My only regret, and I know we shouldn't have regrets in life because we can't do anything about them, but we didn't have that many students there because there was, I think, some confusion as to what it meant. And so this year, we're going to try something a little bit different, and that is we're going to do the university-wide celebration on a Thursday night, May the 12th, and then the next 2 days will be the college convocations, again, individual colleges on Friday and Saturday, all held in Alumni Coliseum. So I don't have to respond to any more tweets of hashtag Granny needs a ticket, because I did get those messages. We will make sure every single student has ample seats for all their family, and that will be May the 13th and 14th. Okay? Granny does need a ticket, so we will make sure she is there. Now, The spring 2016 schedule. I know there have been some questions, some angst expressed about what's happened. We tried our best to accommodate a lot of different things. We're not sure it was the best decision, but it's what we have right now. I will tell you that we're working our level best to ensure that next year we make sure the schedules coincide. It may mean that we move up the eCampus classes a week, so then the schedules will align and they can have a spring break. But that also will necessitate some changes in our financial aid. And Laurie Carter's shop is working right now on making sure we can do that. But I apologize that this has happened the way it has, but there were just some mitigating factors that we tried our best to address. And if you have any other questions, you can refer to Jana's email that she sent out today for what's going to happen this coming spring. Okay? Part 2. We talked about the Wright brothers last year. I thought we'd talk about them again today. And of course, I'm joking only slightly, but my favorite author, David McCullough, twice a winner of the Pulitzer Prize, one for a book that he wrote about my hero, Harry Truman, the other one, 1776, I beg your pardon, for John Adams. He just came out with this in the summer. And if you haven't read it, I encourage you to do so. I enjoyed it so much, I took my family back up to Wright-Patterson this last summer, and we had a blast. We had a chance to see the planes that my wife's grandfather worked on. This is the F-106 here on the left. That's the T-38, planes that he both worked on and flew. The common theme here is Talmadge's goofy face in the photographs. But we had a great time seeing this amazing museum that really is a tribute to the temerity and vision of two brothers. Now, there's a lesson to be learned from this book that I found this summer. And that is when Wilbur went to France to try and convince the French to purchase his airplanes because they worked. Of course, you might know that Orville had sustained some pretty severe injuries in an accident, during which his co-pilot, the partner on the plane, was killed. But when he got to France and saw the runway, such as it was, there were people that said, you know, you ought to do what you did at Huffman Prairie and dig out the bumps and smooth it out and make it more passable. And this is what happened. This is from page 217 in Mr. McCullough's book. One of the few problems that Wilbur had to contend with was the ground was filled with bumps, some the size of a bowler hat, that made takeoffs difficult. Someone suggested that with a bit of spade work, the ground could be leveled. It was just what Wilbur and Orville had done preparing for the first test flights at Huffman Prairie. But Wilbur by now felt he could dispense with all of that. Quote, "If we have to alter the face of the earth before we can fly," he replied, "we may as well throw up the proposition." Such was the way of the man, observed a writer who was present. He never sought to escape by the easy way around. As a kid, my father often used to quote what is known as the Serenity Prayer. And it's been attributed to different people, one of whom, of course, is the great theologian of the last century, Reynold Niebuhr. But the Serenity Prayer is this, and I'm sure you've heard it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There is a lot of I'd call it extraneous noise around us. There's a lot that we can't control. But the things we can control are the exciting things. The course that we can chart as an institution is the way that we're going to make a difference at EKU. And part of that process has been through our strategic planning that has involved a lot of people and a lot of different meetings. And I encourage you to visit the website to take a look at what's come from these conversations, because the job is not done. We have still more work to do. But in point of fact, this process has helped refine the fact and the knowledge that what we do, we can control our own destiny. What they do up the road, or what they do out at Western Kentucky, or what they do over in Eastern Kentucky is their business. But what we do is impact Eastern Kentucky University. From this process, we have come to the conclusion that there are 4 areas that we are going to focus on. The first is academic distinction. What do we do well and how are we going to do it better? What programs are we not offering that we should be offering? What programs may have run their shelf life that need to be either revised or jettisoned? The second part is a comprehensive capital fundraising campaign. In the next several months, you'll be hearing more about our leadership team, the timing of it, the goal, the launch of it, and it's going to be, I will tell you this, the most ambitious, aggressive, and achievable campaign in our history. And it's going to be, I think, terribly exciting that will forever change our campus. The third is campus revitalization, and I want to spend some time talking about that this morning. What are we doing to improve the campus beautiful? What are we doing to make our campus even more appealing to our faculty, our staff, our visitors, our prospective students, our donors? Because that's important and it says a lot about how we feel about our institution. And finally, enrollment management. What are we doing in terms of recruitment, even more importantly, retention, and the ultimate goal of graduation? And all of this is done within the parameters of financial stability and effective stewardship of resources. We have finite resources. That is an accepted fact. The state of Kentucky, while we pay attention every quarter to the revenues, public higher education, as you know, has taken one of the biggest hits, percentage-wise, of any states in the country. So the new normal is we accept what we get from the state, we're grateful for it, but we've got to do better in terms of being stewards of what we have, but also increasing that pie through grants, contracts, private gifts, donations, etc. So those are really our 4, if you will, prongs of our strategic plan as we move forward. And again, we're not done with the process, and you'll hear more from Matt and his colleagues as we finalize that process. I wanted to share, as we start also, some just points of pride. It's important for us to talk about the challenges, yes, what we want to do, but it's also, I think, important for us to pause and reflect on where we've come and what's happening. That number is very significant. We have 125,000 living alumni. Think about that. That's a lot of people. Are they engaged with campus? When's the last time they got a piece of mail from Nick's office? When's the last time they got a thank you note from somebody for an annual gift or for coming to campus to mentor a student? We've got to do better, and we will do better, and we'll talk about some of the platforms we're using to reach out to these alumni, to re-engage them in what we're trying to do. You can see some of the rankings that have come out recently. Military-friendly school, very proud of that. America's Best Colleges for the 6th consecutive year, and of course, 5th consecutive year ranked by U.S. News. That's all fine and good, but we also recognize that to achieve more, we need more new people and more fresh blood, and I'll just kind of rifle through these, our new hires in both faculty and staff. We're delighted to welcome Dr. Tanley Wasson, who's doing institutional research. Tanley, where are you? There you are, right there. Thank you for being with us today. Also, Sherry Robinson, our new Vice Provost. Everybody knows Sherry from her days as an English faculty member and an important part of Jana's team. Jocelyn Glover. Has Jocelyn started yet, Laurie? She starts Monday. Our new Director of Inclusion and Equity, a very important endeavor that we're undertaking or refining. Paul Gano. Paul, where are you? Paul comes to us as a Deputy Director from the state. We are going to start being a lot more intentional as to our projects that we manage and do more of it ourselves. Be less reliant on Frankfurt. Yes, we need their approval, we need their support, but we want to run our own projects. And Paul is the linchpin to that process. Christy. Christy, I met yesterday. Christy, stand up if you would, please. Christy is our new Chief External Affairs Officer. I made you do that because she's the face of EKU now. And we're delighted to have her as a member of our team. She will be our spokesperson and comes to us from KCTC. So she knows higher ed very well, but she's also been in the news media. Brian Mackinnon, a familiar face, one of my 11 bosses. Brian, where are you? There he is. Brian, stand up, will you, Brian? Brian Mackinnon. Brian, a member of our Board of Regents, but also our new Executive Director of Public Safety and Risk Management. Also, he will join us soon, Patrick McKee, our Sustainability Manager. Oh, there he is. Patrick. It's appropriate he's wearing a green shirt. Way to go, Patrick. Thank you for being here, Patrick. Delighted to have him here as we continue our efforts to be a more sustainable campus. And as you know, that means reducing our footprint. Some academic and faculty news and notes. Vic Kepler, our new dean, a familiar face to all of us, our new dean of Justice and Safety. Vic, are you here? In absentia, we're applauding for Vic, but we're happy that Vic has that new responsibility. I read, of course, on EKU Stories, which I encourage you to read on a daily basis and pay attention to what's going on. But Isaac Powell, one of our art faculty, has an exhibition at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Very talented artist. Tom Appleton is working on yet another book. Tom, are you here? Tom, there he is. Tom Appleton. Co-editor of the groundbreaking volume on Kentucky women. And I heard a speech this last summer from a Dr. Clotter from Georgetown University. I asked him the 5 greatest Kentuckians in our Commonwealth's history. He said Henry Clay, John Marshall Harlan, the great dissenter, Daniel Boone, the woman who was a suffragist, her name escapes me right now. Tom, help me out. Madeline Breckinridge, thank you very much. And the 5th, Robert Penn Warren, the great author. And Tom will be working on helping people learn more about the great women of Kentucky, including Miss Breckinridge. Tom, along with Professor Mahalate, were named the foundation professors when they were recognized at the graduation ceremony back in May. We congratulate both of them. Peter Kraska, of course, continues to gain national notoriety for his work. He will soon be testifying before the U.S. Senate on police militarization. So it's great to see our faculty, whether it's Professor Gray, also in his department, and her being recognized in an article in the LA Times recently as we address important societal issues, and I commend him. Manuel Cortez Castañeda wins Columbia's highest award for literature, excellence in literature, which is a real tribute to him. Professor, are you here? He's in Mexico. There we go. Thank you very, very much. Congratulations to him. Sherwood Thompson, I saw Sherwood on the way in, editor of the new Encyclopedia of Diversity and Social Justice. Sherwood, congratulations. Thank you for what you do. Sheila Presley, the effervescent Sheila Presley. There she is. Sheila, congratulations, the new Associate Dean. Congratulations to her. I don't think Sheila's ever had a bad day in her life. And I so appreciate how upbeat she is. I think we can all take a cue from that. Todd Harch, through the backyard neighbor, more and more recognition for his really fantastic book, The Rebirth of Christianity in Latin America, published by Oxford University Press. Todd, congratulations. Are you here? All right. Thank you, Todd. Congratulations. Finally, we did a newscast out on the runway. That was a joke. That was. It looks like a newscast, doesn't it? Christy, what do you think? Yeah. Live at 6. Benson Atkins. This is the president of Ashland Community College and Technical College, and I'm here on the right, and we are on the runway at Ashland Regional Airport. We've signed how many of these agreements now, David? 4? Number 5 and 6 are imminent, but this is a great example of a partnership with our fellow institutions, our sister institutions at KCTC, where the local students can take their general ed requirements for the first 2 years, and then our aviation faculty will take our program to them. And our goal is to fly the EKU flag over every regional airport in Kentucky. So congratulations to everybody that's helped work with that program. And Min, of course, where is he? He's another. There he is. Interdisciplinary Asian Studies program, but we had the launch last semester, a great symposium for a day. And Min, we're so thankful for what you do as well. Thank you very, very much. Our fermentation science program over in the College of, yeah, here we go. So time's off and fermentation. That's what you're all about. And somehow the two go together, apparently. We're excited about this certificate. And yes, there is a chemistry focus to it. And there are all sorts of restrictions and guidelines and requirements. And we had the alcohol control people on campus just a few weeks ago talking about that. But we're trying to be responsive to the needs that are particularly kind of indigenous to Kentucky. And this is one of them. We're excited about that. Also, our STEM, and part of this goes with our unbelievable science facility that will be doubled here shortly as construction moves ahead. But our STEM, our progress in our STEM fields and the partnering that we're doing with local schools has been recognized by many, many people. Our MARC trial team. Professor Noblet, are you here? Is your husband here too? There you are, there they're back. There we go. Look at that, 11th place finish in the nation. Beat some pretty good trade techs out there. Beat a lot of very, very good schools, and we're very proud of these young people and their coaches. You may have heard that I had my review from the faculty, and I took to heart the recommendations that were made, and I've tried to address the support and the interaction with faculty in 3 areas, and I want to touch on those very briefly. The first is the support of faculty scholarship. And what my office has put forward has been matched by the chair of our board. And I want Sarah and Jerry to stand up. There's Jerry right here. Sarah Ziegler, are you here? There they are. They're the co-chairs of this committee. They are the co-chairs of a committee that will have a representative from each college, and they will be responsible for reviewing the applications that come in. And believe me, we're going to make this as simple as possible, aren't we, Jerry? Yes. Sarah, correct? 1 page, if possible. And the idea is to try and recognize and support and advocate for our faculty that are out there making contributions in scholarship and research. And our goal is to award these stipends, if you will, at the end of the academic year. So April, May of next year will be the awards for this year. And you'll hear more about it. They're building a website with more information. And Jerry and Sarah, I thank both of you for your willingness to chair that committee. Second area, I had a great meeting a few days ago with Matt Winslow, the EKU Faculty Innovators Program. How many innovators do we have here today? Faculty innovators. Please stand up, will you please? Let's see, Lisa, Shirley, there's Matt. There we go, thank you. Please refer to their website. I met with Jana a few days ago, and I said, Jana, let's see if we can do not only release time or stipend for Matt, who helps direct the program, but for every faculty member that participates as an innovator. It's time, it's effort. Once you are done with your course, or even during the course of the semester, the idea is to put into this repository the information that is produced by that respective faculty member. So you'll hear more about this, and we're going to put more support into the Faculty Innovators Program. But it's a great way for peer-to-peer. I see Rusty. I see Charlie and Hal here. By the way, I kid you not, last night I needed a picture of Hal and Charlie. So you know what I did? I Googled Hal, Charlie, EKU. And that's what came up. Hal, Charlie, EKU, and that's what we got. It's a great program, and again, it's peer-to-peer support, help, association, and we're delighted to support it even more. And finally, I look forward here in the next little while to fireside chats. 25 randomly selected faculty where we have an hour together over in the faculty lounge of Keene Johnson, and you get to tell me what's on your mind. No set agenda, no PowerPoint, no placards. It's just a chance for you to tell me how we can do better and what's on your agenda. So we start those, I think, on August the 31st, coming up here real soon. A bit about student success. I wanted to give you a snapshot of the incoming freshman class, which, by the way, is one of our biggest, if not our biggest, Laurie, but also our most academically prepared. Take a look at this little bit at the bottom. 206 fewer students with developmental needs in various areas, which means students are coming to us better prepared, which, if the numbers are true and they will bear out the facts, they will retain and they will graduate. Take a look at the averages in terms of the English, math, reading scores, the high school GPA. You can get an idea there of the quality of our incoming class as we welcome them to campus here in the next few days. Take a look at if we were the first choice of those that filled out a FAFSA, which of course is the federal financial aid required form. So if they put EKU as their first choice, look what our yield was. 76% of those students enrolled. Second choice, third choice, and you can see the numbers there. So they are voting with their feet and coming to EKU because they want to be here. And the numbers tell us that they're even better prepared. 2,860 new first-time freshmen. And on Sunday, they're all going to be right here. And it's our chance to tell them what I tell them every year. College is fun. It should be a time of exploration, and you should have a great time, but there are times to be serious. And you represent an incredibly small segment of the world's population that has the right and the privilege and the opportunity to study at a university. So there's a time to have a great time and to enjoy it, but there's a time to hunker down and be serious and work hard. And we will hopefully imbue into each of them and inculcate into each of them that message. This is, I think, one of my favorite statistics. Look at that. Class of 2019, 800. How many of you are first-generation college graduates? Look at that. You are representative of that 800 student cohort. Behind that number is a story. 800 stories. 800 families and friends, multiple friends, that helped that young man or young woman apply, navigate the FAFSA process, get through the housing application process, and is coming to our campus. And my friends, it is so important for us to recognize that it behooves all of us to give each one of those 800, it gives every one of our students, but particularly these 800, the best possible experience. Because so much think about what hangs in the balance. If they have a good experience, what do? They go home at Thanksgiving and they say, Mom and Dad, you won't believe what I learned at EKU. You won't believe the people I met or the experiences that I had. And I'm sure their moms and dads will think, man, I wish I'd had that chance. But like every parent in here, you want to give your kids things that you never had, and that's what these parents are trying to do. That's why it's so important for us to make sure on every point of contact. As I told Student Success yesterday, they are the tip of the spear, aren't they, Gene? They are the tip of the spear. They are the first point of contact for many of these students before they set foot in your faculty classrooms on Monday. What's their experience going to be like on Friday when they move in? What was their experience trying to buy a meal plan? What was their experience signing up at the rec center? Please, customer service is so important. I'm not talking about coddling. I'm not talking about babying them. They're adults. They should be accustomed to the fact that college is hard. But the fact is, we can help turn that experience into a positive one at every single point of contact. Our freshman academy for diverse students enters its second year. I didn't have time to put up some of the numbers, but Salome and her colleagues have done a fantastic job putting this together, and the retention numbers bear that out. And these are at-risk students that if they succeed that first year and come back, chances are they're going to persist. And that's so very, very important. Our Colonel Success Center, in the process of launching that, we really want to make it one-stop assistance with everything that a student will need to succeed. Excuse me, I need to have a Mark Rubio moment here. And don't mind me, let me walk back to the podium. And the fact is, also, we're trying our best to put more resources into additional scholarships. You can see the number there of what we committed, $1.7 million in addition to what we already have. And we've also put more money into the Rodney Gross Scholarship Fund. People have asked, well, you want to raise all this money and it's going to go for bricks and mortar and athletics and blah, blah, blah. Yes, it will go for some of those projects. But what is the most important scholarship dollar that we can raise? Nick, and I gave you a hint there. Scholarships. Scholarships. It's about opportunity and it's about access. Very proud of our fact that we were nationally ranked again as number 2 in the country, best for vets. If you paid attention to our Gurus program, Mandy, are you here? We should be able to hear Mandy if she is here. Mandy and her Gurus program is unbelievable. So proud of them and what they do. Again, it's that peer-to-peer mentoring, students helping students, that's so successful. Proud of them. Congratulations. Our diversity initiative helps all of us recognize that if there's any entity, if there's any public entity or institution that should be as welcoming as any place in the world, it should be a place like EKU. EKU, of course, describes where we are, describes our institution, but it does not define us. We are a broad, cosmopolitan, eclectic amalgam of all different kinds of people from all different kinds of places. And it should be a welcoming, inviting environment for everyone. On September the 1st, we're going to launch our women's health clinic within our current student health clinic that will pay particular attention to our larger student population, which is females. So I encourage you to come to the ribbon cutting on September the 1st, just a few days. Colonels first, we've tried our best with our housing. April, you here? April and her team looking at support services for first-generation students, making sure that that cohort of the 800 I was talking about has that best possible experience in our housing operation. Let me talk for just a second about athletics, then I'll get off the topic, I promise. First, I want to recognize our new athletic director. Steve, will you stand up, please? Steve Lockmuller. We're delighted to have Steve here, who brings years and years of business experience and acumen and contacts to our athletics department. He's joined by Matt Rowan, who has moved from my office over to athletics as the Deputy Director of Athletics. Everybody knows Matt has helped through the strategic planning process. Thank you very much, Matt. We also have several new head coaches. Dan McHale, our new head men's basketball coach. Edwin Thompson, our new head baseball coach, came to us from Georgia State University. The Going Big event, which was our Colonel Club event, which we held just a few days ago, I have to say McBrayer Arena has never looked better. It was an unbelievable night. And Matt told me today that as the fiscal year, which started July 1, in just over 30 days, 40 days roughly, we have raised close to $200,000 in that period of time, thanks to the support of our Colonel Club members, which is double what we had last year. So Austin Newton, congratulations, way to go. As I say to recruits when they come by my office, chances are you are not going to play on Sundays. If you do, great, bully for you. If that's your goal, we'll help you get there. But our job is to get you a degree and to graduate you regardless of your sport. And that's what the Colonel Club's about. Yes, it's about supporting student athletes while they're here, but with a view to what they're going to do beyond their athletic career. Very proud of the fact that we've won 2 straight Commissioner's Cups. So this is all the points for all your sports that are part of the core sports within the OVC. We've won 3 of the last 4 overall. and we are dominating the competition in the OVC, and we're very proud of all of our student athletes and their accomplishments. This is a great story. Ole is from Sweden, or is it Denmark? Denmark, thank you. Ole graduated, John Wade, with a degree in what? Physics, okay? Kind of a tough subject. I shook his hand at graduation in May. He hustled off the stage, took off his robe, hopped in a van, and drove to the conference championship, where he won the steeplechase. I had a chance to go up and watch him run at Hayward Field along with Karina, who was a freshman, finished 15th in the country as a freshman, All-American. And to see these student athletes compete at the highest level and do as well as they did, all of us should be incredibly proud. Ole finished third. He was beat by a runner from Arizona and one from UTEP. But this was the back of the Oregon paper. There's Ole right there. He's coming off the water jump, and there's the Michigan runner. That's not where you want to be. But to his credit, I went up to him after. He got up, and he finished 5th in the race. And I said, young man, that was a very courageous performance. But Ole, I was so proud of him. He's going to try and qualify for the Olympics. I said, well, what are your chances? He said, well, President, have you checked the population of Denmark? And I said, Ole, man, don't be a smart aleck. I haven't looked at it recently, but I think your chances are better than if you try to qualify the United States. So he's going to head back home and train very, very hard, but very proud of Ole. It's really something to see a kid with the Eastern Kentucky bib on, running around the track, beating athletes from Stanford, Oregon, UCLA, UTEP, Arizona, Texas A&M. Very, very exciting. Development and alumni relations. If you haven't heard, this last year, we raised over $4.1 million, which is the biggest amount raised, the largest amount raised since 2001. So congratulations to our development team. I encourage you to take a look at EKU Stories. Go online, take a look at some of the things that are happening. But you're going to see more, we think, progressive, forward-thinking publications coming out of development and alumni relations as it relates to our alumni magazine, the communications that we send out to all of our donors. And this is all, of course, focused on a campaign that we're going to launch here in just the next little while. I've told Nick, to use a boxing term, that pound for pound, we've got the best development team anywhere. And I'm really proud of them, and I'm really excited about what's ahead. Let me talk just a second about government relations. If you heard about the SOAR, Shaping Our Appalachian Region project, which has been launched by two gentlemen from two different parties and in many respects two very different political orientations and perspectives. But Governor Beshear and Hal Rogers have recognized that some of the intractable problems facing Eastern Kentucky are not political. They shouldn't belong to one party or the other. They should be addressed by all of us who have concerns about what's going on in that part of the state. And two of our campuses, both our Corbin and Manchester campuses, have been designated as regional workspaces. We've had students that have worked as interns. David and I have attended a whole bunch of meetings. Terry and his crew have hosted various meetings down in Manchester. We continue to be actively involved in this effort, and we're very proud of the fact that I think it's getting some traction. We're making some headway. Just a few weeks ago, right on this very stage, I had a chance to talk about some of the things I've talked about today. And some of these next little slides, I'll show you a little bit of what we discussed as it relates to the partnership that we have with the city. I don't think I can overstate how important it is that we're a good partner with the city of Richmond. They view our students in many ways as transient, and they are. But when you have this influx of 14,000 plus young people that come to town every August, in many ways it's very disruptive. Traffic, congestion, lines in stores. But think about the economic benefit that these students have on our community. And it goes both ways. And so we had a very open and frank conversation about how we can do better and how we can partner even more. Let me talk just for a second about some of the things happening on campus. Just a few months ago, back in October, we hosted the congressional debate between Elizabeth Jensen, the challenger, and Andy Barr, the incumbent. This was a lead-up to another debate that we're going to be hosting in October for Jack Conway and Matt Bevin. They will be here in this hall in the last televised debate before the election in November. It's going to be on what station, David? KYT, hosted by probably Bill, isn't it? So I encourage you, it's open to the public. Get here early for a seat, but Sunday, October 25th will be a chance for us to showcase this beautiful hall, which we then hope will be a precursor to the chance to host a presidential debate, and we'll know here in a few weeks whether or not that happens. Craig King is a new member of our Board of Regents. Craig is the CEO of R.J. Corman, a fairly significant business venture here in Kentucky. And I talked to Chairman Turner yesterday. He had just spent 3 hours with our new member of our Board of Regents, and he's very excited with the role that he will play. Also, Katie Scott. Katie, will you stand up, please? Katie's our new student body president, new member of the Board of Regents. I introduced Katie to a group the other day that, 2-3 majors was just not enough for Katie. She had to go with 4. And she's an example, a great example of a very committed, dedicated EKU student. If you haven't heard, I got bumped back a slot, and I'm happy about that. I'm now president number 13 because Mary Rourke has officially been recognized at EKU's second president. If for nothing else, Charles Hay will not bother me about this anymore. Charles was an amazing advocate for this, along with Demir, and we're so proud of the fact that our board approved this. And in October, to coincide with graduation, I beg your pardon, I'm getting ahead of myself, to coincide with homecoming, we are going to unveil the portraits of all the presidents that have been reframed in matching frames, along with Mary Rourke, in King Johnson. So stay tuned. It'll be that week of homecoming. We're going to invite as many of Mary Rourke's relatives that are living to help celebrate this very significant event for the university. Our brand strategy process continues. I encourage you to take a look at the website. They've completed the research they presented to our board just a few weeks ago. But the next thing we're trying to do is our brand what we want it to be? You may have heard that the kernel head, as we currently have it, the current kernel in its iteration, the current iteration, we're not sure that's the image that our student athletes like, that a lot of the faculty like, or that our staff like. So how can we be better in portraying what EKU is and what we represent? So I encourage you to be part of that process. They're going to be back on campus, Bullhorn is, in the next little while as we talk about the brand and the launch and all things EKU. How many of you have been over to the new improved Hummel Planetarium? Fantastic. If you haven't, I encourage you to get over there, take a look at it, take your kids or grandkids or friends or whatever, but it really is something. I encourage you to get over there. Finally, the EKU Center for the Arts, where we are today, they will open their season on September the 12th with Vince Gill. And if you haven't taken a look at the program, outside in the lobby, Joel tells me that there are plenty of pamphlets about the season, some great shows coming to town. I mentioned EKU Stories, but this gives you an idea that it's a platform that's much easier to navigate. I think it's easier to digest. It's very clean, it's effective, and it also helps tell the story of what our faculty, our staff, our students, what our campus is up to. And of course, you can connect all sorts of different ways through social media. Our EKU license plate program. Now, some have said, why on earth is it so small you can't read it? There were some limitations as to what the state allowed us to do or not do. But we have sold or issued, DMV has, almost 600 plates. And that is about a 7-fold increase as to what we had before. More exciting is that every time a plate is issued or renewed, the university gets $10. And that goes into a general scholarship fund to support those students that we talked about at the beginning. So I'd encourage you, this is your parking at least your permit to park. It's not a guarantee of a parking space, remember, bear that in mind. It allows you to park with that plate on designated lots throughout campus. And even better, I love going around town and seeing the EKU plates proudly displayed on vehicles. If I can, let me talk in the last 30 minutes or so about this sense of place. What does it mean to be at EKU at this time, and how is our region doing? And to kind of set the table, I want to share some slides with you that I think will paint a picture of how our region is doing in relation to other parts of Kentucky, and why it's such a great time to be at EKU and in Madison County. This is not new information. I took this from Paul Coombs. I got his permission. He's a retired professor of economics. John, do you know Paul? He is summoned by all sorts of various groups and legislative committees to present his information. But he's divided Kentucky into 9 economic regions. And when I heard him give this lecture, I said, Professor, I raised my hand, I said, have you heard of the book, The 9 Nations of North America? It's written by a Canadian social demographer back in the early 1980s. And he makes this argument that North America can be divided into these very distinct, both geographic and political and cultural areas. And in some ways, what we have in the Commonwealth is a mirror of what this gentleman came up with, again, in 1982. We are put into the Lexington area because we are defined as a micropolitan area. And what that means is that the Census Bureau looks at employment interchanges between counties. And they try and figure out, are there counties that can be taken into a larger area? And in point of fact, we are taken into the Lexington area that also includes Frankfort. So let me show you some key statistics on what Kentucky looks like. And there's a little bit of quiz here, so let's see how you all do. What is the most densely populated area of Kentucky? Northern. And why is that? Well, it's smaller. You're across the river from Cincinnati. Being more densely populated, the fact is that there are economies of scale here in terms of public services. It's a smaller distance to go. You can put more into a general area, but you can see the population in terms of densely populated weighs heavily in favor of northern Kentucky. Where is Madison County? You probably can't see these bar charts, but again, this will be on the website. You can see Jefferson County, Fayette County up here, up above, Kenton County, and we're about kind of the bottom quartile there in the largely blue shaded areas. The 3 counties over 30 times are more dense than the sparser counties, so those 3 right there. Which of the 9 regions has the least population growth this decade? These are your choices: Mountain, Cumberland, Paducah, Purchase, or Louisville. Mountain. That's fairly easy. And you can see here that last year, the census data suggests that Kentucky, we gained 74,000 persons, but the declining population is at the tails of our state. The Paducah Purchase area and the mountain area to our east. In fact, they had more deaths than births in the mountain region. And you can see the percentage change over the last 15 years. Again, a net gain of 54,000 people, but look what's happened to the 2 tail areas of our state. So what does that mean? That means that the population growth really is focused in on our region. And you can see that back in the blue shaded areas, 1969, they were the 5th, beg your pardon, they were 3rd in terms of populated, but look what's happened now, they're 5th, headed towards 7th. So their population is going the other direction. What has had the strongest job growth since the 2008-2009 recession? As economists, as political scientists, historians, even those in the legislature, we pay attention to these kind of key benchmarks. And 2008-2009 is one of those kind of markers, if you will, that we look to and say, what's happened since then? What's had the strongest job growth? Lexington, excuse me, our region. Is that surprising? How many of you would have thought Louisville? Heavily manufacturing, but you'll see here in a second, the job growth has come in an area where we're perfectly attuned to address. So that is where the biggest job growth has come since the recession. Employment growth since the bottom of the last recession, and that's all industries. Let me show you a couple more here. I'll get through these. There we go. Which of the 9 regions, again, think of all the ones out in the western part of the state too, has the highest government payroll per capita? This can be state, it can be federal, it doesn't matter. Which one do you think? Stephen? You have your hand up. Which one is it? No. Sorry, I didn't mean to be harsh on you, but that's not right. I know Stephen, so I can say that. Anybody else? I was surprised by this one. It's actually Bowling Green, Hopkinsville. Anybody know why? Well, there you go, Fort Campbell. Fort Campbell, as you know, straddles both states, but their payrolls run out of the Kentucky side of it. So Frankfort, of course, and Fort Knox accounts for some of those other government jobs. So that's where the largest government payroll is. Which region has the highest rate of high school graduates? Lexington, Owensboro, Henderson, Northern Kentucky, Bowling Green. What do you think? Northern Kentucky. Again, think about densely populated, more high schools within a smaller geographic area, and that has the highest high school graduates. Now the next one, look at this, okay? We are in the 89th percentile in Kentucky in terms of the high school graduates in our state. The problem is we plummet to the bottom quartile in percentage of our citizens with at least some post-secondary education. The national average, if you can see this is high school diploma. There we are, 83rd percentile, the United States, 86. But look at the highest rate of college graduates, and this is what, to me, is more telling and more frightening. Which one do you think has the highest rate of college graduates? Right here, Lexington, our region. Again, Lexington, Madison County, Frankfort. So what happens? We go from the 83rd, 85th percentile for high school graduates, and then we plummet to the 21st percentile for college graduates. That's not the kind of economy that our state leaders want to continue to engender and build upon. We need more college graduates. These statistics, I hope, give you an idea that it's a great time to be in Madison County. We are having significant growth in terms of our economy, net migration into our county. All the folks that travel back and forth to Lexington or Frankfort or other areas to work, but spend many of their tax dollars right here in our county. So it is a great time really to be where we are. Not a day goes by that I don't think about this gentleman. I didn't have the chance to meet him, but I've read enough about him, and I've had plenty of people tell me about him. He cast a very long shadow on our campus, literally and figuratively. Of course, Robert R. Martin was the president, and he arrived in 1960. This slide shows our square footage from the inception in 1904, 1906, all the way projected through 2020 and beyond. Robert R. Martin arrived here in 1960, and we were fairly steady, somewhat static, for several decades. He arrived in 1960. He's here until 1976. Look what happens to our square footage. It goes up almost fivefold. What are we dealing with now is infrastructure that is 50, 60, almost 70 years old. That is why we are talking about this campus revitalization. And part of that process is a master plan that is now being undertaken by a very, very good firm out of Blacksburg, Virginia, called HEWV. They will be back here in about 10 days. And Barry, they're going to have open meetings. They're going to have forums on campus in our community. It is your chance to participate, to give your input as to where we should go in terms of growth. Where should the residence halls go? What about traffic flows? What about making campus more pedestrian friendly? What about hearkening back to the Olmsted Brothers architecture along Lancaster and not the Moore Building architecture? How do we make campus feel more easily navigable, more pedestrian friendly? So I really hope you'll participate. I want to give you just one example, and I've only had one meeting with this group because we only hired them just a few weeks ago. But they came to campus, they walked around, they spent a week here, and they talked to a whole bunch of people. And they came back and they said, what is your favorite building on campus? I said, without a doubt, my favorite building is the Keene Johnson building. Not only because of its architecture, but the history of it and the story of it. They said, it's ours too. And they said, how would you like to see it more kind of focused or showcased on campus? I said, well, that's why we hired you. You tell us. So they said, okay, we did a little sketch. And another really unique aspect of this campus is the ravine. We have never seen right smack dab in the epicenter of campus this big open space where students can hang out and they can go to a concert, and if you want to teach a class out there or put up a hammock, it's right there, right in the middle of campus. The problem with the ravine is it's blocked by a bunch of cars that park along the side of it. So they said, well, why don't you take the traffic coming off of Crab and 2nd and have it drive that direction as opposed to coming off of Lancaster, and showcase with benches, with decorative flagpoles, with making it a lot more pedestrian friendly. And as you drive up, what do you see? The most spectacular building on our campus, Keene Johnson. That is one idea, and I called them yesterday to make sure it was okay that I shared this with all of you. But that's one idea that came out of their walking around, if you will, during their first visit. Winston Churchill once said, we shape our buildings, and thereafter they shape us. This is our chance to shape our campus in a very significant way that will be felt for decades and generations to come. Again, to quote Mr. Churchill, he talks about our finest hour and how destiny touches each of us on the shoulder and gives us the chance to do something that's really unique and fitted to our talents. And I really believe this is one of our finest moments. We're going to look back on this period of this revitalization project as one of those moments where we had a chance to make a difference. And we've got to grasp it. I mentioned Professor Clotter. I had a chance to meet him back in July, and he wrote a book called A Concise History of Kentucky. And it was actually really interesting. I didn't know we had a monkey eyebrow Kentucky. Anybody know that? Monkey's eyebrow Kentucky. He talked about this governor. Now, Professor Appleton, who is this? He can't see that well. Okay, well, we'll give you a pass, Professor. You've written 10 books, so we'll give you a pass on that one. This is Governor Fields. Now, Governor Fields was elected in 1924. I didn't know anything about him. And Professor Clotter said, not too many Kentuckians do. He was from Olive Hill, and apparently his kind of tagline for his campaign was "Honest Bill from Olive Hill." And his opponents took that and said, he's dodging Bill from Olive Hill who answers no questions and never will. So it got nasty back there in 1924. But he came in office and proposed what at that time was as bold a plan as anybody had ever talked about. He, if you can imagine, again, kind of get the historical context. You're only 6-7 years removed from the war to end all wars. It's the Roaring '20s. The Great Depression is a few years in the future. But he proposed for the state of Kentucky a $75 million bond issue. In today's dollars, that would be about a $20 billion bond. $75 million, and it was going to go to roads, charitable institutions, prisons, and schools, and address a whole kind of panoply of needs that the state had. What happened was the fight over this bond issue turned into an urban and rural issue. As you can appreciate, the rural parts of the state loved it. They were finally going to have access to schools and to services that they never had. The urban areas said, absolutely not. In fact, the two big newspapers, the Courier-Journal and the Herald-Leader, were divided on it. If you can believe it, it passed the legislature, but then it went to a general vote, and the bond issue went down by 100,000 votes. And Professor Clotter, in his speech, his speech was entitled Lost Opportunities. He said, what would have happened in Kentucky if we had built schools and infrastructure and services in the 1920s far in advance to what our surrounding states were doing in the region or in the country? That was a lost opportunity. And I am committed not to lose this opportunity for EKU. We are making no little plans. We're going to think big, and this revitalization program is part and parcel of that plan. In the last few minutes that I have, and then I'll open it up to some questions. This is the quote, of course, from Daniel Burnham, one of my favorite characters of the 18th and 19th centuries, a great architect and a great city planner and a great visionary who talked about making no little plans. But the proposed Center for Student Life, if you were to add it all up in terms of the investment in residence halls, in a new dining facility, in new mixed-use spaces that includes both athletics and other purposes, it's about $215 million of investment. Think about the impact that will have on local contractors, subcontractors, suppliers, workers, our economy kind of writ large in Madison County. Let me share a couple of ideas and images of what we're talking about. Of course, the tennis courts have been relocated. What we have planned for this space here, I'll show you in just one second. But this is an aerial shot of really what is the center of our campus. Kind of all built around the same time. These, of course, are the Olmsted designed buildings that also, the Olmsted brothers, as you know, are the ones that designed Central Park and did many parks in Louisville as well. But you see the Combs building, the Weaver building, Martin Hall, which is a 1960s vintage. But it looks a little tired, doesn't it? Looks a little tired. So our job, our task, is to revitalize this middle of campus in a way that our students will appreciate. It will attract more students, increase our retention efforts, and again, lead to, we believe, greater graduation rates. I won't go through all this, but again, this will be on the website. This gives you an idea of a synopsis of what we're talking about. The public-private partnerships that we've done, this $25 million each, in the aggregate, $75 million in new residence facilities, a wellness center that will be a privately funded proposition, the Center for Student Life, which includes, of course, the renovation of the Powell Building and a new student rec center, the new campus entry point, which I'll show you in a second, the Karloftis Garden, the Wellness Center. All of these things are part of the complete package, if you will. We had some challenges with the bid when this first went out, but the entrance point off of Barnes Mill and Lancaster, this will be the new pedestrian gateway that is privately funded, and we'll do a ribbon cutting and a official groundbreaking here in just the next few weeks. But our goal is we hope to have this wrapped up by the end of the year, but a contractor should be selected soon. But you all remember that what was here before? Combs Hall. And we will have an appropriate spot to memorialize and recognize Earl Combs, one of the greatest Richmond residents and a member of the Hall of Fame for baseball here in the next little while. Part of Miller's Row in the 1927 Yankees. This is what we're proposing, again, privately funded, to go in the spot of where the tennis courts are. So where the tennis courts were right there along Lancaster, this will be a new alumni and welcome center. And the idea is to have on the back side of it the Karloftis Garden and the very first point of contact. Remember I talked about that first interaction, how important it is for a student to have a positive experience when they first come to campus. They will begin their tour at this welcome center. And the idea is to have parking, to have the history of the institution, to have a small theater where the orientation can take place, and then you walk the students out the backside through the garden and right into the middle of campus. And this will be not only for our prospective students, but also our alumni center, where our alumni will come back and enjoy their class reunions, various functions. We'll continue to use the Blanton House for various luncheons and other functions. Some of our development folks are there right now. But Nick and his team are working on a plan. You can see the architectural rendering of what it will look like or what it might look like and we hope this will be one of the great additions to our campus. What's happened in the last 18 months in terms of how we've tried to beautify and improve campus? A couple of things. We've rebranded our university club. I see Kim and her associates here. This is a great asset for the university. It's a great asset for our community. And we've tried to make it very clear that it belongs to the university. It's one of our, if you will, showpieces. If you haven't been out there lately, the house has been in a lot of ways redone and improved. The paddock, it's a great place to host individuals and guests, and we're very proud of what's going on at the University Club. Alumni Coliseum, of course, hosts a lot of our games and activities, but even more significantly, it's home to really signature moments for our students. Graduation. This is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now with the new lighting and the new floor, and you'll see even more improvements and additions here in the next little while. Take a look at it on graduation day. That's the game against Belmont that was on ESPN, and even the announcer said, "Man, I can actually see in here now." They were really impressed with the lighting. But that's what it looks like on graduation. And again, every college will be able to have their own ceremony in AC, and they can craft it any way they like. The Science Center. How many faculty, staff out there are going to have the chance to move into the new science building, Phase 2? That is going to be a maroon letter day. There's Mal. Even Mal gave us one of these. All right, Mal. That is going to be a maroon letter day for all of our campus, but especially for those that are in the Moore building that will have the chance to migrate over to our new facility. Look at that, $128 million and 340,000 square feet of space. Just an unbelievable addition. Our housing, of course, this was a project that we did on our own with our own bonding authority. And Katie tells me that to a person, is this where you live, Katie? Last year. To a student, everybody wants to live there. A lot of students want to live in New Hall. And for the proper amount, see Nick after, we might put your name on New Hall. But a great facility that, by the way, is the only gold LEED certified residence hall in Kentucky. Our new tennis court, thank you. New tennis courts, if you haven't had a chance to go out there and try them out, it's a very fast, nice surface, but right there across from our current tennis complex. So those are the projects that we're working on now, but I wanted to give you a summary of what we're going to focus on. And actually, I present tomorrow to one of the Capital Review Board on what our state requested projects are. So we have 3. Priority number 1 is a new model lab school and a new College of Education facility. Some have said, well, you're only doing this because your kids go there. No, that's not true. Sure, I like to walk in there and see the cornerstone that says 1963, which was 2 years before I was born. And in a lot of ways, I don't think it's changed since 1963. The fact of the matter is, we have in the Model Lab School, and its partnership with our College of Ed, the only remaining lab school in Kentucky, and one of the few in the region. We're going to make a case tomorrow that this could be just like our Justice and Safety Center, where you train all of the commissioned law enforcement officers in the state of Kentucky. Every teacher will have to come back to Model or our College of Ed to get reaccredited, recertified, retooled, retrained in their specific teaching area. The latest pedagogy, the latest technique, all can be refined, developed within our College of Ed and tried at the new Model Lab School. It's a great place and a great school and a wonderful facility with a wonderful history. That's project number 1. Number 2 is the renovation of the Moore building. So we're going to try our best to make a case with very graphic photographs of the busted pipes from last winter or 2 winters ago, of just how bad the Moore building is. You know, I'll say it nicely, but it's bad. And that is project or priority number 2. Number 3 is a new aviation facility at Madison County Airport. So new hangar space, new really central facility that will host and be home to one of the best, if not the best, aviation program in the United States. Those are our top 3 state-funded requests. Now, as you know, it falls to the legislature to make a decision as to how they fund or which ones they fund. And they may take 1, they may take 2, they may take 3 and 2. We'll see what happens. But it falls to us to do our very, very best to exercise our First Amendment rights for a redress of grievances. So that's what we're going to try and do. Again, to talk a little bit about the Center for Student Life, which again is non-state funds, but let me conclude with a few images of what we're proposing. A renovated student PAL union where we propose, and again, this is still fluid, but we're proposing taking the food service elements out of PAL and putting them into a new dining facility or facilities, maybe a few remote locations on campus, and letting the students determine what they want in their student union. What does Katie want in terms of club space? What does she want in terms of meeting space? What would she like in terms of maybe a faculty student lounge where faculty and students can come for a cup of coffee and talk about things? So if we can gut it stem to stern and redo PAL, that will be one of the options that we're considering. It's a great spot. It's the best location on campus, but it's tired and it's cut up, and they have staircases that lead to the ceiling. And you all think I'm joking, but I'm serious. Go in and take a selfie. Dave, isn't that right? There's a staircase that leads nowhere. So you've heard about the bridge to nowhere. We have the staircase to nowhere. Again, these are renderings of what the PAL Student Union may look like when it's done. Very exciting, though. Bettina Gardner, where's Bettina? Bettina gets to look out every day, and her colleagues, at what the Knoll Reading Porch will add to our campus. But just think about 2 years ago what that little plaza area looked like. You had a driveway, you had wrought iron fence, you had dead trees, you had steam coming out of the ground. And look at it now. We have really made some, I think, very significant progress to beautify that area and make it a place of gathering for our students, an outdoor reading area that will, I hope, be utilized by everybody. This is the proposed site, of course, for the new model lab school. We took out these ball fields, and we're in the process of finding some temporary fields for them to use. But this is what the proposed look of the new model school might consist of. We've asked, thank you. We've been very specific. We don't want one of those middle schools with a blue roof or even a maroon roof. We like one that fits into the general architecture that one sees walking down Lancaster, with the Georgian columns and the facades that will really make it tie in. Imagine if you're sitting in the light there at the bypass in Lancaster, and instead of seeing what you see now, you'll see this beautiful complex that on the backside would also house the College of Ed. So again, these are just renderings that a firm has done for us to give us an idea about the connectivity, et cetera. Some of the improvements we've made to our athletic facilities that, of course, is used by our student athletes, but also by locals. Local teams use our new baseball, our old baseball field with the new lights that now allows them to play extended hours. Let me give you an idea of, this is an older one. I don't think it will be nearly this big, where we've gone through various iterations of what a new baseball stadium may look like. Again, named for Old Combs, but it will be much smaller than that and much more kind of scaled down. But the idea, Earl Combs, his grandson lives across the street from me. So he keeps very close tabs on what we're doing. And I told him when the building came down, named for his grandfather, that we needed to recognize his contribution. Not every day you have a chairman of the board of your regents that's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Softball, to be compliant with Title IX and to support our female student athletes just every bit as much as we support our male student athletes, proposing a new seating area and media area, concession area for softball, that if all goes well, we'll be breaking ground on this just in the next little while. So Coach Worthington can get another 600 wins in this new complex. Roy Kidd Stadium. What can you say about the Begley building? We don't know what we're going to do with the Begley building. And if you've been in it lately, it's not ADA accessible. It's got some real challenges. We've tried our best. Our maintenance crew has done a great job trying their best to maintain it and preserve it. But we're trying to figure out exactly how to better utilize it. If it's going to be the home to our graduation ceremony and to the students, if they want to go out and have a movie on a movie night on the field and put it up on the Jumbotron, if they want to use it for high school band competitions, and if we want to start hosting high school playoff games where you bring a whole bunch of prospective students to EKU and to Richmond and to our economy, we can't do it with what we've got. The irony is that Western Stadium was built or designed and built by the same people in the same year. The only design difference is they did theirs and it's kind of like a little curve, a little concave, if you will. Same kind of reinforced concrete, and the idea was when they redid theirs, they built a whole new grandstand on the other side, which is something that we're considering as well. This is our new facility. I'm just kidding. This is Notre Dame. When you have a $7 billion endowment, like the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, you can do a $450 million renovation to your football stadium. Now, the interesting thing about Notre Dame is we'll never, ever be able to do what they're doing. But the concept is this. There's Touchdown Jesus on the Hesburgh Library, and nobody ever wants to kind of obfuscate that view. So in the north end zone, they won't do anything. But this on the east side is now their athletic offices, their training center, their student athlete academic center. In the south end zone is the conservatory, the School of Music. So practice rooms, a concert hall overlooking the football field in the south end zone. On the west side is a student union, a rec center, and all told, that is, I can't remember how many square feet. It's just staggering. But they're spending $450 million to renovate what they're calling the Crossroads Project. And Father Jenkins said, why would we have a football stadium that you use 6 days a year? Why not have something in the middle of your campus that's used every single day by every single student if they choose to come and go to the student union or practice in a practice room or some other activity? From that, we've took the idea that maybe we could come up with a stadium design, a renovation idea, that could have multi-use space. So on the east side, if we choose to do something like this, could it be mixed use? Yes, football would be the primary tenant, but what other spaces could be utilized by other people at various times? That grew into a discussion of what about the west side? What about partnering with our students and maybe looking at a rec center where you share HVAC and you share cable and conduits and all that sort of thing, and tie it into both the rec center and part football stadium. I tell you this because, again, everything is very fluid. We are looking at a lot of different ideas, and one thing we're going to do is elicit from our students their input as to what they would like in their new rec center. These are just concepts and ideas, but I wanted to show them to you tonight, or today rather. It feels like night. We've been here a long time. So I wanted to show them to you today as a kind of a precursor to the fact that we'll have more conversations in the future about what this facility might look like. I encourage you to follow what is going on campus through various social media. Doug and his team, I think, do a fantastic job keeping current on what's happening. And as you know, the students had me hijack, apparently, our Instagram account, not Snapchat. So I'm supposed to be taking pictures throughout the day and Snapchatting it to our students, because that's how they communicate. And if you get a message through Twitter that comes to me and I forward it to you, that's the best way I know how to communicate students' concerns, but please pay attention to those areas of social media. Finally, let me conclude with this. The future really does look bright at EKU. This is one of our graduates from just this last May. I want to end where I started, and that is as we reflect on a new academic year and the excitement that comes with a new freshman class that will set foot on campus on Friday, that remember how incredibly fortunate we are to be here today, to be where we are, to work with students, and hopefully change in a positive way their lives and their futures. Thank you very, very much, and go Colonels. Richard, before I turn it over to you, I've got some time for some questions. I know I'm meeting with some faculty today, and I try and get to as many as I can, but some are scheduled at the same time. So, any questions? Beg your pardon? How can you help? Wow, thank you very much. I appreciate that. The fact is, one thing I love about a university is that we have a lot of differing views and different perspectives and opinions, but I hope that we've engendered here on campus a collegial place where at times we may agree to disagree, but if there is something that you feel like you can help us with, if there's a project that you particularly find fascinating or intriguing or compelling, that you'll volunteer your time to serve on committees, that you'll advocate for it. I look out of this room and we're what, almost 1,000 probably today. That's 1,000 people who in a lot of ways can be emissaries for what we're trying to do at EKU. To go out and tell your friends. One thing we've done with our board is, if you've noticed, we never meet in the same place twice. And each board meeting is hosted by a different college. Because at the end of the meeting, the college, whether it's Dean Whitehouse or Dean Wade or Dean Kepler, doesn't matter, they get the chance to kind of do their dog and pony show of what's going on in the college. And the board then leaves and tells their friends, you will not believe what's going on in health sciences at EKU or what they're doing in justice and safety. You could be the same kind of advocate for us. Go out and tell the story, recruit your friends, follow what's going on campus. I flew back into town just the other night, and without fail, every time I go down the escalator at Bluegrass Airport, it's like hitting the sign, play like a champion today at Notre Dame. I hit that little thing of the placards that have EKU ads on them. And telling our story, getting our message out, I think is so vitally important. And faculty and staff can help us do that. Any other questions? Boy, I hit the easy button with that one. Thank you very much. Yeah. Is that Fran? Hey, Fran. Great. Yes, thank you. I had a feeling that might come up. As you know, when I first got here, we did an across-the-board raise for everybody. We followed that up with phase 1 of our IPEP, which was our institutional pay equity program. Phase 2 of IPEP has been funded and has been put in place. Our next task is to finish phase 3 of IPEP and also continue to refine the process whereby merit pay will be determined. We found that when we started this the conversation that there was no really criteria that was uniform across departments or colleges or even for staff as to how to evaluate people and give them a merit pay increase or a merit bonus, however you want to call it. The one thing we're really looking at now is our enrollment and where we are and if we can afford to do a cost of living adjustment for everybody. And I don't want to promise anything now because Barry he promised death if I did. But we are considering, looking very carefully at where we are, and if we can do something on the COLA side, that will be our next step. And other state agencies have done it. We did our cost of living or our across-the-board increase for everybody at a time where not too many other places were doing increases. But our IPEP program, I think, has gone pretty well, and we funded 2 of the 3 cycles that we want to do. All right? With that, thank you very much, and here is Richard Day. Thank you.